Hello, viewers. You're welcome to Child and Society, the program for you that talks about you, your issues, your society, talks about your policies, the governmental policies that affect you, and also showcases role models in the society. Your presenter today is Vera Vivicoli, your regular presenter, a child protection consultant. With me to discuss very important program today are, am I right?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chief Kate Anoloe, former mayor of London Borough of Enfield.
Am I right?
Hello, everyone. My name is Susie Retiola, host of Realities, A Moment with Susie.
You're welcome, Auntie Kate and Susie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Viewers, today's program, as I introduced earlier, is a very important program. We'll be looking at police in Nigeria. We'll be looking at corruption within the police force. We know that corruption is everywhere in the world, but there are some countries that are ridden with corruption. Nigerian police force, we believe, have got issues around corruption because Nigeria is a country that has been listed as one of the corrupt countries in the world. But we need to find out why are our police corrupt? Why? What makes them corrupt? What are the roles of the police? Are they following the police conduct? But don't forget that corruption in the police is everywhere in the world.
Oh, yes.
Not only in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So, we are talking about the police.
Yeah.
If the police is corrupt, are they able to tackle corruption? What are their roles? What is the role of police? Auntie Kate.
I think before we talk about the police being corrupted or being corrupt, I really like to look at generally because you need to start from head to bottom, and I believe that the police are just right at the bottom. You know, they're not really, for me, they're not really the main issue. It has filtered, corruption has filtered from somewhere onto them.
Yeah.
So it is, the main issue is where is that corruption coming from? Because if I'm a mother and I'm corrupted, my children are going to be corrupted. And also you cannot talk about my children without dealing my issue. You have to deal with me first to, for you to be able to deal with my kids. So really, where does corruption come from? So we have to look at our government mainly. And I think this is the main issue, because if we cannot get rid of corruption from the top, there is no way you can get rid of the corruption in the place.
Sister Auntie Kate, let me just help you out here. The current IG of police stated recently that the police force is the least corrupt institution in Nigeria. So that goes to show that, to support basically what Auntie Kate is saying.
Yeah.
Over to you back.
Yes, and I'm glad he said that because I agree with him. I agree with him, and it's almost like I knew what you were going to say, or, the fact, because that is a fact coming from the horse's mouth. So, that means that what I'm saying is right. However, we now have to go back to the police and see where we can help. Look at, what qualifications, those that are going into police force, are they going into police force to help their pocket or to help the society? Because I believe that the police being out there is to help the society by manning, trying to make sure that crimes are not committed, and those that commit crimes are, given the right punishment. Again, when we say the right punishment, that is again trying to keep away corruption, because you can offend, have a big offense, and yet might not get the right charge. So it's a vicious circle. So, now we want to know how we can get the right people into police force, how we can look at the entry, what qualifications do they have? What do they tell them? What are they training? Because I can come into a classroom. If you don't tell me the right thing that I'm supposed to be doing, I might just finish and then I pass my exam and that's it. And I go out there without actually knowing what am I there for?
So you're saying that the police may not even know what their roles are, some of the police officers.
That is
because
correct.
if they do, then they will be mindful, because part of their role, I believe, is also to police those people who are corrupt.
That's right, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they themselves don't understand their role and they allow corruption to overtake them or influence their decisions in their in carrying out their duties, it means that they cannot then effectively checkmate corruption. Right.
Definitely, they won't be able to do that. So for us to make sure that the police, we get the right people, the right training, and implement that training in our streets. And also, I like to know that when they're getting, when they're being trained and they're working, I like to know that they do have updates that is, reinforcing their training, making sure that what they've learned, they're practicing it. And if there are more rules, because I know that our country like to, copy from other countries. And we go out, like UK or US, to learn more, and unfortunately we learn, we bring it, but we don't implement it. So we want to know that once we go out there, we spend a lot of money as well, because it's not just free training. We spend a lot of money. So we want to know that once those training people come back, that they are practicing what they've learned. And we cannot do that without having the right people, without getting the right training and the right policies and guidelines to help them to practice what they have learned. And also, with that, then you can develop trust. Because if the community, the society don't trust you, then that word remains that the police are corrupt. But they have to show us what has made them change for us to believe there is no corruption within them.
Well done. That's clear. Okay, Susie, maybe you can also further this about, telling us. So obviously, we know that police are supposed to serve us in the community. They're supposed to safeguard our property and ourselves. But how well are they doing that? We've also heard that some of them may not even know properly what their roles are. Just take us into that.
Well, yeah, I think there's a major importance that they know what they're doing, and for them to know what they're doing, you need to know what type of people, what their education level is, what their understanding is. It's also going to be around the support that they are offered as well. What type of equipment do these police have? Do they have the right equipment to help them do their job? Do they have the right equipment to protect themselves and to, protect the society? So I think there's a lot involved in ensuring that the police force is running effectively and crime-free. But for it to be crime-free, corruption-free, the society itself is going to have to change. I think it's not just the police force that can change. Society has to change.
So you're talking about issues around selection process. If you select a DOM to do a job that requires a proper somebody with full capacity,
you need to look at their educational levels, their educational capabilities. So definitely, I know that they do have tests that they do to join the police force, and I know that they do training, but we have to be realistic, and whether we like it or not, what is coming out is not what we expect to come out. They're not coming out, they don't seem to be coming out equipped to do the job.
The police people even have to bribe the top officers in order to get into police. So if you've been influenced with money to get into police, how are you talking about selection criteria?
Well, the honest truth is that if people, not everyone is bribing their way into it, but a lot of people are. At this day and age where there aren't that many jobs, you have an uncle who has a whole load of money who can get you in. Then if they're getting you in by who you know, how do you know you are getting the right person for the job? How do you know they're actually committed to the job and they're not just doing it because they want a job?
Policing is very important for a country's image. If you have bad and corrupt police officers, they are bringing a bad image to the country.
It's also not ensuring that law and order is actually being kept the way it needs to be kept. Because if you've got corrupt police officers, that means that there are people out there getting away with certain things, and they feel confident that they can get away with it because they feel, you know, I've got enough money, I can do what I want, how I want, and all I need to do is pay someone off and I'm free. So it's also about that as well. That is very important.
So therefore,
yes, what I want to add, you know, with that as well is that even those at the high places, this is minus the government.
Yeah.
Even those in the high places, you know, those that are, you know, got their big business and so forth and so on, some of the police are under their payroll.
In their pockets, that's it.
They are under their payroll.
Yeah.
That means it's going to be so difficult to eradicate corruption until we have to work from the top.
Yeah.
We work from the top, and when we say working from the top, it's just not a sort of just talking it from them, you know, just talking. It's not a talking show. It's got to be something that we can say that this is what is happening. We don't want it anymore. We want to clean up.
Yeah.
What it is to clean up. For example, as you know, in Ogoni land, you know what is happening about oil spill.
About the oil spill. And
you know what is happening about this is an area where the wealth of Nigeria, comes from, and yet they are the poorest. How did that come about? Because the whole people working there are all corrupted. They take money from the shell company and, you know, let them do whatever they like. And the police are looking away. And the police are looking away. The governments are looking away. The top people are looking away. And who are the ones suffering? And yet, those areas are supposed to be a place like Dubai.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, if they are not doing their job, if they're not doing their job the way it's meant to be, that means that law and order is not being enforced the way it needs to be.
All right. Police people are paid very little.
Yeah, and sometimes they're not paid.
Sometimes they are not even paid. How can you expect a policeman to be paid less than 20,000 naira in a month? And you expect that person to do their job very well without accepting bribe or being influenced by the rich? Even the people that they are supposed to be policing are very rich, are richer than them.
Yeah.
They are richer than them.
Vera, isn't it the same thing, like I was saying, that for us to be able to help the police to do their job properly, it has to start from the top. That means the government need to look at their salary.
Yes.
They need to review.
I mean, if they're looking at senators' salary, why can't they look at police salary?
Yeah, exactly. To review their salary. All the money that's going to, you know, I understand so many percentage of the senator's salary, you know, this money can go to the police.
Exactly,
But does that justify that the police has to be corrupt?
We have to be realistic here.
It's not justified, but it has to be done from somewhere. They need to be paid properly, and they need to be paid regularly.
Yeah.
You know, you go to work, you work after a whole month, 2 months, 3 months, you're not paid, you know, and you've got your children to send to school, to pay school fees. As you know, Nigeria is not like here, where you don't pay school fees.
So are you not saying, viewers, we are hearing that we can't just blame the police, we have to also blame the state itself.
Yes, definitely.
Nigeria has to come to terms with the fact that you cannot send a poor man to go and secure a bank when he's poor.
And a poor man that has means
to extract money and has power, has power. Police gives you power to act.
So you wear that uniform.
You have power. And yet you don't have money to feed. So you extort from people. You are easily influenced. People are influencing you because people you are policing are richer than you. This is why in Nigeria you can carry somebody's body in a suitcase or in your boot and you go past. And the police will say, hey, you leave 500 naira. The police will say, yes, ma'am.
They won't even open the boot.
They won't open the boot again. Do you blame them? So we are saying that we cannot be blaming police. We have to blame this whole system. There is a need for there to be training from the bottom. From the time that you are getting into police, you need to be trained properly. Capable people should be selected to go into police. Good training supposed to be given to them and ongoing training all the time. And because the top people went through the same police system that exposed them to corruption, they have not forgotten about corruption. They are still corrupt. There is a lot to be done. Viewers, keep watching Child and Society. You're welcome back. Now, can we talk about the corruption in the police? Give us examples of simple corruption practices that people are aware of.
Oh, there are many, many of them. I'm only just going to say a few of them. For example, I live in this country and I go, back to Nigeria fairly often. And majority of the time, the taxis or the transport in which we are, is stopped. And I would hear them say, can I have a look at your license? Or what are your papers? Normally it's your papers. And then you see the driver fiddling, maybe he has forgotten his papers, or maybe the papers are not up to date, or maybe he hasn't even got a license. And while he's doing that, he's got the other hand fiddling in somewhere, and before you know it, the police move on. What has happened is
the police tell them to move on.
Yes, but what has happened, if you do open your eyes properly, you'll find that when he was fiddling up there, he has used the other hand to give the police something. That is corruption, because what you've done is to pay him off without actually looking into the offense you have committed. Because you could be driving with all those passengers without driving license.
So what is responsible for that influence?
Because it's already happening.
Is it because the police are poor?
Yeah,
or is it because they are on the road, because they are having to collect money to pay someone who placed them on the road?
It's because they want money.
Yeah, I think because they want money, and because it's happening already, and they see it as norm. And the drivers as well see it as part of the system. So they don't really care about whether they have the correct paper or not.
So the people don't even respect the police. They don't respect that the police have authority.
No, they don't respect them anymore, because they can go away. The money that they're given is absolutely, sometimes it's only 20 naira.
But it's how much it's how many times it happens a day, and sometimes they have tins in the middle of the road. And I think this has become such a common practice that it doesn't even matter.
But the federal government are now saying that they need to remove some of the roadblocks.
Can I give you an example that I think can be a very scary example? There was once we went to Nigeria and there was petrol shortage. So we had petrol in a jerry can. As soon as the police saw the petrol in the jerry can and they heard our accents, it was, can I see your passport, please? Automatically, they knew to ask for the passport. And before we know it, whereby usually when they pass, if they haven't got their papers, they give them 200 naira, 300 naira. They were now asking for 10,000 naira. Now, the next thing to do was to negotiate for it to go lower, and they negotiated. But the bigger picture is that isn't the honest truth about that matter is that carrying petrol in a car is dangerous. So they overlook that for money. For money. So everything is money driven. Everything is money. There's no safety. So they are ready to put people's life at risk. Yes. Put Nigerian reputation at risk. But can I give you another one that I found really funny? Why this was going on, all the police, when they realized there was petrol in a car and this could be a big bounty, the ones across the road abandoned their post and came over, and all of them were negotiating for money. And then another Danfo van came, and two policemen, they were fighting, and they called the policeman, the officer, can you come and get involved? And the officer refused. And the next thing, we saw two people rolling on the floor, and the police were like, get on with it. And they were around us because there was money, petrol, big money. Okay. Let's deal with this. This is more important to us. Right. That is very sad. Okay. Now that leaves me with something which is very worrying. How can a poor man then have a redress? Because you just said they saw this money and they asked you for 10,000. Yeah. Is there a redress for a poor man who doesn't have 10,000? Is there a redress for Nigerian people?
I don't see any redress there at all, because for redress, the whole system has to be looked into. Yes, and when I say the whole system, the whole Nigeria, coming right from the legislatures, right down to the bottom. The legislatures have to have something that is practicable and that they can filter into the police for the police to be able to, you know, wipe away or start to, you know, stop asking for irrelevant money and do the right work.
Yeah.
And then for people now to be able to say, oh, I must hold my correct paper because the police will not take.
And there needs to be consequences for police officers.
Thank you very much, contributors. Thank you, viewers. We are coming to the end of this program. We have been hearing about the corruption within the police system. We also have heard that the Nigerian, as a country, needs to sit up and do something about this. If we've given police people a task to secure lives, to ensure peace, to ensure property and prevent crime in the country, we need to support them to do that job. At this moment, poverty seems to be very key issue here. The police are paid very poorly. They need to be paid well. Police needs good education so that they will understand what we are trying to do or what they are asked to do. They don't understand their job description. There are a lot of influences around them that makes them to succumb. We need to select good people into the police. We should. There's a need to stop doing godfatherism. When somebody is not competent, there's no point in submitting such person's name. Nigeria needs to train police. The training needs to be an ongoing. I'm not saying that there is no corruption within police in United Kingdom or America. There is, but they are checkmating them. Which system have we got in Nigeria to checkmate police corruption? They need to be one. They need to be a police inspectorate division that does nothing but checkmating corruption. Even if it's civil defense that needs to come into it, they need to. NGOs, people need to be checking police. The police cannot police checkmate itself. Other people need to be checkmating police. My people, we are coming to the end of this program. Viewers, thank you for supporting Child and Society. We are going to still be discussing issues about corruption within Nigerian system next week. Stay tuned, the same station, the same time. Thank you and God bless.